Hi, I'm John Marek, subject matter expert for large wheel loaders. I'm here at MINExpo 2021 to tell you a little bit about the new Cat 992. Starting up at the bucket here, there's a lot of things on this machine that we did to improve the efficiency, but it all starts up front at the bucket. And you'll see this feature in the back of the bucket. You'll see two radii, a top and a bottom radius and a straight section in between. So we call that a dual radius bucket. What that's allowing is for the center of gravity of the payload to move further back. And what that gets for you is improved stability without having to add extra weight to the machine. So it's a lot of little things that you'll hear about that we did. That's one of the, that added together make a big difference. That's one of the first. Our buckets are also optimized to be the most efficient during digging. And so going from a performance series to this next generation of bucket, the additional improvement is the center of gravity moving back. A couple of things on the linkage to talk about. So first of all, what you can see is we've gone back to the Z-bar linkage. And so what this gets you when you're talking about efficiency is a truly optimized Z-bar linkage. It's going to be more efficient. And what we did in order to make that happen is we ran millions of design iterations on the point layout of this lift arm, and then combine that with the engineering judgment of a person and wrapping iron around different concepts to come up with a linkage that not only has good breakout force and good digging performance as a great digger, but also does that with less power, less fuel, in a more efficient manner. And that's some of those things that are hidden. You might not see that, it might not look obvious, but that's that engineering optimization that allowed that to happen. Another couple of things where we've paid attention to some important details here, you'll notice the robustness of the auto loop guarding and of the guarding around the toe position sensor. These kind of items are critical for the operation of the machine. If you lose either one of those, that can mean downtime. And so you can see here that we've really carefully thought that out so that you can rely on that system to stay as it's supposed to be. Moving on to the powertrain. So we'll start continuing with the theme of efficiency. If you're looking at the torque converter, we ran an optimization on the torque converter. That's one source of waste heat, and so optimization there is another thing that's helped the efficiency. Moving back from the torque converter, the pump drives have also been optimized. Not only did we optimize the powertrain for efficiency, but also durability increase. So we are expecting a 20% increase in durability on the axles, on the transmission, and on the engine. On the axles, what enables that is upsizing. If you look, for example, the size of the differential and the durability, we're beyond that of the 994H on a 992 size machine. You can see the differences in the rims. The axles are coming out further now, packaging in those improvements in the final drives and differential. And then the transmission with an increased hardness on the output transfer gears. Moving back to the engine, C32B is allowing us to achieve 20 to 30% improvement on life before rebuild on the engine. If you're looking at the internal components of the engine, you can pretty much name out every internal component, and that's been upgraded on the C32B for the purpose of durability. Rated power between 992K and the 992 is the same, the difference being the durability. Going back now to the efficiency, the power being the same, so let's build upon that idea. The machine's doing more work out in front, higher payload, higher productivity, higher breakout forces, all with the same amount of power as the 992K. So when you're looking at the specs, that's how you can tie the specs back to the efficiency. You're doing more work with the same power. Okay, now let's move up to the cab and look at some of the new technology and operator ergonomics. Let's start with the partial automation of digging. So we'll go into our main menu here, the assist button. You'll see three features listed here: auto set tires, tire slip prevention, and lift stall prevention. So we'll start with tire slip prevention. What this is doing is the machine's using its sensors to measure the downforce onto the tires. That downforce increases and decreases as you go through the different parts of the dig cycle. So what the machine's going to do for you is not only prevent the slipping of the tires, but also during the parts of the dig cycle are able to use that increased downforce on the tire, that increased traction, it's going to increase the rim pull. So the rim pull now is continuously adjusting to follow how much you can use throughout the dig cycle. Now a good operator, as they drive into the pile, is at just the right time is going to apply a lift command. That lift command does what we call pinning the tires. It adds extra weight to the tires. What this machine does with the auto set tires feature is it automatically applies that lift command at just the right time. So it's sensing when you get just far enough into the pile that a bucket won't pop out of the pile, but you haven't waited so long that the tires either slip or stall out. So that's a nice feature that helps the operator not have to put so much attention towards that, and that again, combined with the tire slip prevention, will help both your efficiency and productivity. Lift stall prevention, the third feature, once you're into the dig, moving through the dig, what the lift stall prevention does, you have to go back to one of the inherent characteristics of any wheel loader. The rim pull basically fights against the lift breakout force of the machine. You have a pivot point of the lift arms up high, the bucket's down low. So you have a moment or a torque that's being applied trying to pull the lift arm down. The harder you push into the pile, the more it pulls down. So what that can cause is hydraulic stall. The machine's watching for that, and just before the hydraulic stall occurs, it reduces the rim pull just enough to prevent that from happening. So from an operator's perspective, the gain is you have to spend a lot less time on that left pedal, a lot less time managing the rim pull. You can almost bring it down to zero, and that allows you, for a new operator, to get closer to the productivity and efficiency of a more experienced operator, or even with an experienced operator, allows you to focus your attention towards something else, whether it's the high wall or your surroundings or some of the other controls on the machine. Let's move now on to the operator coaching feature. So we'll go back to the main menu, information, coaching. So let's look at the performance summary. So you'll see here a list of what we call coaching tips. We have 13 total tips on the feature as it is today. These are 13 different aspects of the operator's digging and loading technique. So from the perspective of a trainer, what this allows you to do is measure what we couldn't measure before. You measure how we got there. So a trainer can start off, use this feature to help do the training, but then come back, let's say for example, a month later, and review with the operator. Here are the aspects of your technique that you're doing well. Here are the ones where you still need to work on. How do you know that? If you see the blue star in the picture here, the full blue star indicates that you're doing a great job. The more the more cycles you have where you're not following that tip, the less the star is going to become full until it becomes empty with an exclamation mark on it. And those are the things that you need to work on. Now also for each one of these tips is a self-help video. So this video can help both the operator or the trainer in the beginning to help the operator to get a good understanding. So each video starts with the incorrect technique and then moves on to the correct technique. So what you see here, the machine, or the starting with the truck, it's not very well spotted, it's far away from the pile. The wheel loader has to do a long travel distance. They have to articulate both in reverse and then coming forward. Now we have the correct technique coming on. You can see that the truck moves closer into the pile. So a nice spotting job there. The machine didn't have to articulate when it was in reverse, just in forward, and was within 1 to 1.5 tire rotations. So what this feature is looking for is, any time that an operator takes more than that 1.5 tire rotations, it's going to log that and reduce the amount of blue fill in the star. Let's look at one more example. Avoid unracking and dig. So what you could see here is we give a little bit of a description. The feature, this aspect of the technique, if the operator is using a reverse tilt into the pile, that can be really hard on the linkage and structures, and it also really doesn't gain you any productivity. So So this tip is showing you then the correct technique being only to reverse, only to have a rack back type of tilt as you move through the pile, keeping it moving in one direction. Okay, now let's look at practice mode. So when you go into practice mode in the coaching feature, what this allows, either during the initial training or just as the operator is trying to improve themselves with time, this looks at your top 3 worst aspects of your technique. And then you can continue to move down the list as you X them out like that. The next worst aspect of your technique will come up under the screen. You can see there's 3 sets of stars there that talk about last pass. So it records your last three passes into the pile, for example. And then for each one of those, it's going to tell you for each aspect of your technique, for each one of those tips, whether you did it right or wrong. So you can use that to get an idea for what is this, what is it wanting me to do, what do I have to do to make it, to get the full blue star. Thanks for taking the time to look through these new features with me. These are first in the industry, first within Caterpillar. So we're really excited to have customers start using these tips. Thanks for your time.